This evening, let's explore non-duality, liberation, and meditation. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This evening we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you're as big a geek as me and you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly or as transformatively as General Leia Organa learned to do during the Jedi training she received in the events following Episode 6, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this evening's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or chanting, do not be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. If you're watching a replay, however, you'll want to type your question in the comment area below the video. N on Reddit asked, what are the... forgive the grammar. What are the benefits of non-duality? N continues, recently I finally realized what this means. There is no separate entity within me that experiences things. There is just experience. So I'm going to stop the question. Well, let me just go read through N's diatribe. What I don't get is why this is supposed to be such a profound insight. When I remind myself of this fact, I can be more open and aware, but so far it doesn't change much about my life. Okay. None of the N's made a couple blunders. They're not his fault. There's a lot of bad teachers out there. There's a lot of bad books. So, N has been convinced that all that separates him from enlightenment is the password, the secret handshake, or the big idea that he needs to understand. No, no, and oh God, no. There are two spiritual paths. One is rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, and competitive. These people tend to insinuate themselves into organizations, spiritual and secular alike. They are attracted to power the way moths are attracted to a porch light. These people are usually not malicious, but because of the worldview and their indoctrination, they do much more harm than good. You cannot believe your way to enlightenment. You cannot think your way to enlightenment. But you can feel your way to enlightenment. So, non-duality is not about... It's more than no self. It's more than emptiness. Here's how it works. During every inhalation, we are wired, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, to notice, not concentrate, but notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. During each exhalation, we are wired, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, to both physically relax as well as mentally release. So whatever we notice, if it's donuts and dog shit, which are quite different, when we exhale, those donuts can feel like they were non-graspable. When we exhale, that stinky, stinky, smelly, horrible dog poo looks non-graspable. So metaphorically, they share the one taste of emptiness, but but that's metaphorically. Please don't eat dog shit. I shouldn't have to say this, folks. So the one taste of reality is a metaphor of that our natural processes of our parasympathetic nervous system are optimized for physical relaxation and mental release of all that we perceive. That's all non-duality is. Whatever differences we perceive as we breathe in, we can let go of them, even temporarily, as we let go. Why do we do that? So that we find more freedom from the tyranny of our most primal survival instincts, which although they might prolong our lives, they most certainly do not enrich our lives. If we find enrichment in peace and joy and fulfillment, then habitually indulging our most primal drives of shoving or reaching or clinging will not give us what we want. Pleasure is dandy, but it's no substitute for happiness or peace. So that's it right there. Later on in the practice, we're going to play with a contemplation that goes like this. How could all circumstances blissfully melt into rainbow rays that absorb into this body? So that is a comic book contemplation of emptiness rendering diverse circumstances of one taste. That's it. Enjoy. Okay, having gone there, so when I remind myself of this fact, I can be more open and aware, but so far it doesn't change much about my life. So, when you read the back of a Morton's cylinder of salt, we read that into each life some rain must fall, which reminds us of the First Noble Truth, which from a certain point of view teaches us that there are stressors. According to biology, there are stressors. Some are circumstantial, some are physical, some are interpersonal, some are mental, but stressors, they are. What changes our life is not the presence or absence of stressors, but the skill with which we are able to, number one, make peace with our primary stressors, and number two, make peace with our secondary stressors, which are our primal drives, which I mentioned a few moments ago. We're shoving or reaching or clinging. When we are able to make peace with them so that we are aware of them but not controlled by them, life is easier. Now this is a subtle difference. You will not be, the heavens will not part, and you will not be deafened by the din of a choir of angels. Sorry, folks, but subtly, you will throw less of a shit fit. You will throw less of an outer shit fit. You will throw less of an inner shit fit. You will still feel the full spectrum of human emotions, but they won't beat you about the head and shoulders quite as bad. Now, on to my formal response, which I typed up about 6 days ago. The mere philosophy of non-duality could strike one as being flaccid, worthless, and weak. That's what she said. For its power to transform us lies neither in superstition nor skullduggery, but rather in the dynamo of yogic contemplation that makes full use of our autonomic nervous system. Although transcending duality is inferred in the Heart Sutra of Avalokiteshvara, it is explored more thoroughly in the third Chan Patriarch's verses on the faith mind, which opens with the tantalizing promise. The Great Way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Love and hate here, it's an unfortunate translation. It should read when craving and when dread and desire are both absent. Everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. When our practices of mindfulness, meditation, and contemplation are coordinated with a respiratory yoga, samsara's duality of dread and desire, as well as confusion's duality of competition and clinging, are soon transcended. They're still there, but they control us far, far less. If you've just joined us, please remember that any time during this evening's live stream, if you have a question about meditation or philosophy or chanting, type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let's take approximately 15 seconds for housekeeping. If there are lessons you'd like to request, or if you simply wish to support the continued availability of these classes, there is a Patreon link in the description area below the video. So now let us turn our attention to this evening's practice text. It is that's the date. It's 12 minutes after the hour. Tally ho. Tally ho is a reference to one of the episodes of Classic Trek. If you can name the episode, do let me know in the comment area. Patricia Louise Snodgrass, Queen of all Nanas, how art thou? To you and your dashing groom I send a psychic hug. So, is martyrdom the ultimate form of manipulation? Patricia, I have an exceedingly unsatisfying answer for you, so please do not headbutt the monitor. Again. Kapla. It depends. How is someone being martyred? Is this a literal martyrdom or a figurative martyrdom? Details, lady. I need some details. While I'm waiting on those details, let's turn our attention back to this evening's primary practice text. Oh, here they are. Kapla. Thank you, Pat. Oh, look, a typographical error. Kind Lama, please come to the crown of this head with each recitation of the six-syllable mantra. May I liberate all beings through the mastery of the Eightfold Path with each recitation of the six-syllable mantra. Come on, Pat, give me details. May I rely upon the Buddha. Take two. May I rely upon the Buddha's example, instructions, and students with each recitation of the six-syllable mantra. Kind Lama, may I regret the harm I've done and resolve to do the kind thing with each recitation of the six-syllable mantra. May I enthusiastically share with all beings all my wisdom, love, health, and possessions with each recitation of the six-syllable mantra. Kind Lama, please blend with this mind, with each recitation of the six-syllable mantra. The great Tibetan yogi, Dzogchen Rinpoche, in his final meditation manual, took the trap of Ngondro and set it on his head, consolidating the whole practice, or all 5 practices, into the simple act of reciting mantra. So we go, so let's practice. We're going to begin with a figurative practice of love. Why do we choose to be figurative? Because vertebrates on this planet evolved to think symbolically. So let us lovingly wish. Now we don't have to visualize or believe or emote. We can simply play with the words on the screen and recite them silently and mentally during our inhalation, and then physically relax as best we can during the verbal recitation of this mantra. During our inhalation, let us use these words to lovingly wish that all minds of all beings now possess a Buddha's wisdom symbolized by a seed syllable ah. So we're going to play with this for 1 breath, and then I'm going to tend to the lovely and brilliant Patricia's question. Om Benza Sato Hung 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 Om Benza Sato Hung. So the lovely Patricia wrote, in a religious sense, using the crucifixion of Christ as an excuse to bully someone into going to church in the means of self-martyrdom, when someone, a parent for example, goes on about how much they sacrificed for you in order to make you feel guilty. So, okay, that is an excellent job. So, let's pretend for a moment, because we really know very little, but let's pretend for a moment that, let's just play with the New Testament of the Christians for a moment or two. According to that series of texts, 27 texts, Jesus Christ was tortured to death as a substitute sacrifice for humanity. That would be, so if that really happened, fabulous. Well done, you. If the 27 books in the New Testament are accurate, it did not appear that Christ was depicted as being manipulative in what he did. Fabulous. But can anything good be twisted? Oh, hell yeah. So, is it manipulative for someone to coerce you into doing anything? Yes. Is coercion good? No. Coercion is a psychic attempt to violate the autonomy of another. Let me quickly refrain from distracting people and hit button 4. So, just as the physical violation of someone's body against their will, and that's a redundant statement, is an act of physical sexual rape, could not seduction, using someone's physical responses to G-rated actions like a caress or a kiss, to use their own hormones against them to violate their will, Could that be a form of rape? Some people would say yes. Let's take that a step further. Let's pretend you're not even touching someone. You're asking someone, I want you to do action A. And they say, I choose not to. And then you say, I'm now going to throw the metaphoric brick through your metaphoric plate glass window of your autonomy, of your will. And I'm going to shatter it and replace your will with my will. I'm going to bend your will to my wishes. Technically, according to some, that seems like a psychic version of rape. No one's definition of love, let me rephrase that, no spiritual path would say that's a loving thing to do. No one would say that was a wise thing to do. The Buddhist path, which talks about kind communication, would not sanction that. The Christian 1 Corinthians 13 would not sanction that behavior. If Jesus was real, and if Jesus was omniscient, I think he would spend eternity face-palming at the atrocities committed by fools in his name. The same could probably be said for Lao Tzu and Buddha. Do I think it's Christ's will that people be manipulative? No. I don't think it's Lao Tzu's will or Buddha's will either. Does that stop them? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. So, what are some of the flavors of manipulation people juggle? This is me juggling. You know, it's much easy to juggle imaginary objects. That's what I found. So, so let's look at two flavors of manipulation. There are many, possibly more than 31. Look out, Baskin-Robbins. Okay. One flavor of manipulation is sanctimonious manipulation. Jesus Christ endured these horrors because of you, 5-year-old Susie, who just got caught stealing a cookie. You murdered Christ with your confectionery greed. I expect a thank you note from your therapist in 20 years. Okay, so let's look at another flavor of manipulation. Parental manipulation. Listen. Me and your mother had sex, which you had no choice in. And my semen fertilized her ovum, and it multiplied. And lo and behold, after 9 months, we popped out a fresh human that eventually became you. Also, not your choice. I went to work. Not your choice. I didn't enjoy my work. Not your fault. But you now have to do what I say because of all that other stuff. Confused? I expected to think you know from your therapist in 20 years. So yes, both parental manipulation and religious manipulation are not loving. They're not wise. They're not therapeutic. So do I think they were a great thing? No, I really don't. So literal martyrdom is not necessarily a bad thing. Figurative martyrdom is. Telling someone that Jesus Christ died for their sins, therefore they must go to church on Wednesday and Sunday morning and Sunday evening, or else they are metaphorically defecating on the Bible. That's manipulative, but I don't think that's martyrdom. The father saying, I work a sucky job to put food on the table, therefore you must fill in the blank. That's probably... that may be martyrdom. Let's not get hung up in the nomenclature. It's sucky, it's manipulative, it's not loving, it's not good. Don't do it. But I don't think you do it, and I think I think what's really going on, the question behind these questions is, I think it's fair to say there are people in your life that you're watching doing this to other people, and there's people in your life who have done this to you in the past, and there may even be people in your life who are attempting to do this to you now. And so perhaps a question behind your question is, what can I do when people try to manipulate me? If that's the case, brace yourself for yet another unsatisfying answer. When it comes to unsatisfying answers, I'm full of it. The wise response to manipulative efforts of others is not found in being scattered. You know, being full of, being controlled by rage or fear or sorrow leads not to the wisest response. Divorcing ourselves from our feelings and having a contingency plan for our contingency plans, being completely contrived in our response will not create an optimal response. The optimal response comes from centered spontaneity, from allowing our choices and our utterances and our deeds to flow from centered spontaneity. Now, how do we cultivate this centered spontaneity? By performing the contemplations and meditations on the Buddha's path. Bon appetit. And now, let's boogie. Let us lovingly wish that every being's experience of the interpersonal, which is typified by communication, both verbal and nonverbal, now be as loving as a Buddha's communication symbolized by mantra. Let us lovingly wish that all beings of all worlds, real or imagined, now experience the profound health typified in tantric art by the body of a yidam, which is a Tibetan word which could be translated into English as archetype of enlightenment. Let us lovingly wish that the circumstance of all beings, of all worlds, real or imagined, now be optimal, now be as optimal as is depicted by artists as a Buddha's paradise or pure land or vati. That was our first set of 32 mantras. One down, 7 to go. Before we contemplate. And by contemplate, I mean meditate. Scusi. We're going to shift gears now from love to letting go. As we breathe in, our experience of various circumstances are the circumstances that we take 3. As we breathe in, we can see our circumstances, and yet, as we relax into the mantra, these exact same circumstances could feel as if they were as non-graspable as a mythical paradise comprised only of light. As we breathe in, the bodies we encounter could feel rather sensual, and yet, as we relax into the mantra, those exact same bodies, including our own, could feel as if they were as non-graspable as an as an archetype of an enlightenment comprised only of light. As we breathe in, our experience of communication could be resounding, and yet, as we relax into the recitation of the mantra, all relationships and all communication that supports those relationships or undermines those relationships could feel as if they were as non-graspable as a mantra, comprised only of light. As we breathe in, our experience of our minds and other minds could be rather clear, and yet, as we relax into the recitation of the mantra, all minds, including our own, could begin to feel as if they were as non-graspable as a one-syllable mantra comprised only of light. For our third set of 32 mantras, let us now play with the 5 aggregates. Now, this is when my mouth falls apart. At this point, it's more like, let's see, 16, 8 times 5, 40. It's more like 40 this time. Here we go. Let us relax into the awareness of our body. Let us relax into the present moment experience of pain or pleasure or neither. Let us relax into the awareness of the intensity of these feelings, be they pleasurable or painful. Let us relax into the awareness of whatever impulses you may experience right now, such as those to shove or reach or vie or cling. Let us relax into the awareness of this awareness, which is delightfully metta, isn't it? And that's right, it's contemplative inception, folks. Buckle up. Now, let's take a deeper dive at those impulses, into those impulses. Let's relax into the awareness of hate. By relaxing into the awareness of hate, we access or we transform it into mirror-like wisdom. Similarly, by relaxing into the awareness of our craving, we transform it into begins with the letter D, not discerning it. We're transforming it into discerning wisdom. By relaxing into the awareness of the stillness, it transforms into the wisdom of the basic space of phenomena. By relaxing into the awareness of our competitive impulses, we could transform them into all-accomplishing wisdom. By relaxing into the awareness of our clinging tendencies, we transform them into equalizing wisdom. Let us contemplate the 5 coarse thoughts. Let us now relax into the awareness of our intentions. And now let us relax into the awareness of these emotions. Let us relax into the awareness of these thoughts. Let us relax into the awareness of these memories. Let us relax into the awareness of these imaginings. And may we come to the 5 subtle perceptions. Now, I just edited, so there's a possibility that the display is no longer in sync. Having checked upon it, let's continue. Let us relax into the awareness of these scents, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let us relax into the awareness of these flavors. Let us relax into the awareness of these sensations. Let us relax into the awareness of these sounds. Let us relax into the awareness of these sights. Let us return. Okay, so now let us contemplate. We're going to contemplate interdependence. Let's rephrase this. We're going to contemplate impermanence. Take 3. We're going to contemplate melting as a metaphor of impermanence to serve as an antidote for our clinging. We're then going to contemplate absorption as a metaphor of interdependence to help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies. Let us play with the idea of all circumstances, of all beings blissfully melting into rainbow light that now absorbs into our body. Let Let us play with the idea of all bodies of all beings blissfully melting into rainbow light that now absorbs into our speech. Let us play with the idea of all speech, of all beings, blissfully melting into a rainbow light that now absorbs into our mind. Let us play with the idea of all minds of all beings, real or imagined, now blissfully melting into rainbow light that absorbs into infinite emptiness. Congratulations, you have recited your 256 repetitions of this 6-syllable mantra. And as they said in Steel Magnolias, and now it's time for the Easter Bunny. Un momento, let's see. Do 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 do. I'm going to take a moment to slide a zafu underneath my tuchus. Let us return. Let us chant our mantra 32 more times in the practice of universal love. May all the homomatas, non-humans, and so forth be overcome. May they become non-existent. May they be pacified. May they be thoroughly pacified. May all kinds of interferences, diseases, and possessing spirits be pacified. May all be separated from unfavorable conditions. And may all experience favorable conditions and everything excellent. Through this fortune may there be at this time happiness and health. May all beings like Diamond Mind Master, being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. May all beings practice of kind communication, prompt conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May all beings like Diamond Mind Master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May each being take auspicious rebirth, complete the Buddhist path, and then help all others do likewise. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging free. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the comment area, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. In approximately 10.5 hours, we could explore the Four Noble Truths, after which we could chant and meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.